Good morning. Welcome to our interfaith service. I'm Lori Milner, a first-year Chime student, and I'm joined by Jill Morgan and Abby Luca, second-year students. Chime is an interfaith community. All are welcome, just as you are today in this moment. It is a delight to see all your smiling faces. Before we begin, here are some logistics. We are recording this service, so those who couldn't be with us can view it later. You may want to switch to speaker view if you're not already there. And to do that, you can move your mouse to the upper right corner of your page where it says view, and you can click on view and then change it to speaker view. Also, please mute your microphone if you haven't already. And you can do that by going to the lower left corner where it says mute, and you can click on that. If you have to get up and move around, please mute your video as well, and that is also in the lower left corner. So I will share with you the order of service. And there it is. So we'll have our welcome, which I'm doing right now. We'll have a reading, we'll have some music, a reflection, guided imagery, a second reading, and a beautiful piece of music I just can't wait to hear at the end, and then the closing. So that's our order of service, and it should also be in the chat as well. So I know for me that January is one of the toughest months of the year. It feels like an icy wind, a shock back into reality after the warmth and coziness of the holidays, and I'm ready for spring now. Oh, and anybody mention there's still a pandemic going on? I feel kind of stuck. I'm waiting for the next good thing to happen, but well, the view outside my window, at least the sun is out, and I'm grateful for that. In planning our service, Abby, Jill, and I wanted to bring you and ourselves some hope and encouragement as we wait. The theme for today is divine liminality. To introduce it, I will read this excerpt called The Mystery of the Space Between from The Lost Mode of Prayer by Greg Braden. Excuse me. I lost my page. This excerpt called The Mystery of the Space Between from The Lost Mode of Prayer by Greg Braden. There's a power that lives in the space between that subtle instant when something ends and what follows next hasn't yet begun. From the birth and death of galaxies to the beginning and ending of careers and relationships, and even in the simplicity of breathing in and out, creation is the story of beginnings and endings, cycles that start and stop, expand and contract, live and die. Regardless of scale, between the beginning and the end, there exists a moment in time when neither one has fully happened. That moment is where magic and miracles come from. In the instant of between, all possibilities exist and none have been chosen. From this place, we are given the power to heal our bodies, change our lives, and bring peace to the world. All events originate from this powerful, magical moment. So let's take a minute to settle into the magic of in-between spaces, and I will ring us in and out.
The following offering is excerpted from a recent TED Talk by PhD student Anushka Bose. It would be an understatement to say that the past few months have been chaotic and full of change. We're all moving through liminal space. Liminality is a concept that sprouted from anthropology, reflecting the ambiguity and disorientation we encounter during a rite of passage. Author Richard Rohr describes this space as, quote, where we are betwixt and between the familiar and the completely unknown. There alone is our old world left behind, while we're not yet sure of this new existence. In short, liminality is a state of transition, either literal or abstract. At the moment, the entire world is stuck in liminal limbo as vaccine programs roll out, and we have to stand with one foot in and one foot out. This evanescent period of our lives has been riddled with this free-floating anxiety, with each person experiencing varying degrees of it. We're faced with the ultimate litmus test. Can we remain resilient while the noise gets louder? During times like these, poetry can become a safe harbor to grapple with the unspoken feelings and uncertainties we're experiencing. Who then better than Rumi, the mystic Sufi poet from Persia, to help us experience the current moment? Rumi's famous poem, The Guest House, can help us all navigate the uncertainties and sharp edges of liminal space. The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Everything we feel, Bose reflects, comes as a messenger. It speaks to us if we listen closely enough. Rumi's The Guest House advocates for experiencing the entirety of human emotion. Both the shadow and the light are here to deliver a message. This doesn't mean that we need to spend every waking moment assigning meaning to every little fleeting feeling, but it advises us to be mindful of our thoughts, to embrace the exiled, to remember that emotions are guests and that all guests eventually leave.
So winter is a time of in-between places, and we invite you now, as we listen to the winter movement of Vivaldi's Four Seasons, along with some images, to contemplate the guests you're inviting in your own time of liminality and the shared time of liminality.
An offertory reflection on divine liminality. Welcome to the divine in-between, to the holy holding, to the liminal space that's no longer here, but not quite there. It's a space of power. It's a place of uncertainty. It's a realm of becoming that sometimes exacts a high price of passage and always asks us to be courageous. We remember stepping from solid land onto swinging rope bridge, that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. Rather, courage requires fear. To be courageous is to allow the power of the heart, in French, le cœur, to push through the fear and help us navigate to the other side. Liminal spaces require boldness. Transformation is fraught. It's a mistake, in my opinion, to treat liminal spaces as empty and perfunctory doorways between place A and place B, between what has been and what will be. Think of it less as a liminal space and more of a liminal span, a bridge strung between two bodies of land. You make the choice to step off on one side and hold in your heart the goal of arriving at the other. But please don't make the mistake of closing your eyes and running, or of pretending that the distance isn't so far or that the journey doesn't require care. The liminal span is a world of its own, and it has its own unique merits apart from its role as a connector. It's a place that offers deep wisdom to those who can cultivate enough presence to notice the creaky and weather-worn boards underfoot, to feel the frayed rope handrails, and to appreciate the vast expanse of mystery below, even if the heights make you a little bit itchy. Liminal spans are the ultimate request from the universe to stay present, to avoid sacrificing the now in favor of a future that you can see ahead, that second landmass that promises stability and a continued overland journey. Liminality says, be here now, be here on the bridge. Yes, this scary bridge. Be here, step forward, you can do it. In my work as a midwife, I'm honored to be invited in as a companion to one of the most transformative experiences that a human body can have. You could think of the entirety of labor as a liminal experience, an expanse that connects pregnancy to new parenthood. But the wisdom of labor really holds within the event itself its own kind of liminal span. It's a span within a span, and I'd like to take you for a tour. In early labor, a birthing person is planted firmly on one side of a wide canyon, milling around and taking in the sights with firm earth under their feet. They tend to be able to go about their day simply noticing these short and easy early contractions, which some of my clients prefer to call surges. If it's a first baby and the labor starts at night, they might have a rather sleepless night, but it tends to be more about excitement than intensity. As sensations increase and the person moves into active labor, surges become longer, stronger, closer together. They make the person stop talking. Then they require breathing through. And then they take somebody's focus entirely. Early and active labor take a body from 0 to 8 centimeters of dilation as a body softens and opens. They constitute what we call the first stage of labor. The second stage of labor is when a birthing person can add to those surges and boldly push their babies down and out. But that's the other side of the canyon. And to get there, we have to cross a bridge. Labor's liminal span is aptly named transition. Clinically, it only takes a person from 8 to 10 centimeters of dilation, but spiritually, it's the mother of all ordeals. It's the ultimate test. Stepping into transition is stepping onto the rope bridge without the possibility of turning back. It's completely unfamiliar territory. It feels nothing like the solid ground that you remember from before. Clinically, it involves a massive surge of adrenaline that spurs on this positive feedback system. Intensity begets intensity, begets intensity, begets baby. To the person deep in the process of becoming, it often feels like complete panic. This is when clients change their minds, don't want to do this anymore, think that they're dying, generally like fight or flight. They do this from a mental space that we call labor land, in which a person seems simultaneously completely gone and intensely present, a divine possession. It's during transition that midwives become chaplains. You are doing it. You've got this. Stay with it. I'm right here. You're safe. Slow, deep breaths. In this courageous space, the person has to choose to trust and surrender to themselves, to their own power, to their own process of becoming. I can't do it for them, but I can do it with them. It's the reason that I don't use the word delivery. To say that I deliver would imply that I'm carrying someone across that bridge. As a midwife, I'm the worry stone in their pocket. I'm the memory of the reassuring warmth of their grandmother's hands. I'm the voice of their own innate wisdom, encouraging them on. I'm the reminder that their ancestors have their back. I'm many things, but I cannot make that journey for them. Step by step, one foot in front of the other, the span is traversed. One step, good. Another step, yes. Another, you never have to do that contraction again. And another, you're amazing. Don't run from it. Stay in it. Stay with it. No way out but through. And then whack, a foot lands on solid ground, the other side of a canyon. The person opens their eyes and I see them come out of labor land and back to themselves. The intensity dials back. They take a breath. Sometimes they take a tiny nap. The other side of the canyon is new territory. It's soon going to be time to meet their babies, but for many people, that part feels like a productive and grounded part of the process. For now, it's sitting a spell on solid earth for what we like to call the rest and be thankful phase that people often get to enjoy as part of unmedicated birth. Transition is by far the most intense span within the span that is labor. It requires trust and letting go. It requires giving in and going with the flow, even when the flow looks more like white water. It's the part that people say was the quote, absolute worst in retrospect, but it's also the span whose crossing leaves the impression that insurmountable tasks simply no longer exist. Transition very often inspires people to share an if I can do that, I can do anything mentality. There's pride, there's self-esteem, and there's power for the taking in that crossing. And what a gift I've been given to be able to witness that with people again and again and again. I'm curious what liminal span stretches out before you right now. What in your life teeters on this edge of transition, asking for you to give in to that current? What far shore calls to you if only you could cross that bridge? My invitation to you in this seeking is not to close your eyes and run to what's ahead. Savor your bridge, one foot in front of the other. Rub your worry stone. Remember your grandmother's hands. Find your own wise inner knowing. Call upon your ancestors. You're amazing. Don't run from it. Stay in it. Stay with it. No way out but through.
And now we will move into a guided meditation, and I will facilitate an imaginary experience, imaginary adventure that might support the liminal in-between place that may have come to mind as you were hearing Abby's closing questions. So I invite you now, if you're more comfortable, to turn off your video, which might allow you a bit more privacy for this adventure. And we'll begin by having you focus on your breath. So notice your breath coming into your body. And close your eyes and notice how your chest rises with each inhale. And with each exhale, feel your chest fall. Breathing in, breathing out. And with your next exhale, notice your body relaxing even more deeply into the support beneath you. Become aware that your shoulders drop just a little bit. Feel the support of the chair beneath you. Feel your feet on the floor. And allow your attention to turn inward. Imagine now that you are out walking in nature, some beautiful place. Whatever comes to mind is just fine. Perhaps it's a place you've been before, or a place you create in your imagination. It's impossible to do imagery wrong. So as you walk along, notice the sounds your footsteps make as they hit the ground. Pay attention to the sights and sounds around you. Notice any scents in the air. Reach out and touch the bark of a tree or a rock or something else that you find nearby. Feel the texture of that underneath your fingertips. And as you meander along, ponder this transition that you're experiencing in your life. This liminal in-between place. Some bridge ahead of you that wants to be crossed. Whatever first comes to mind is just right. You can trust your imagery. It's impossible to do it wrong. And as you hold this situation in your mind, continue walking. And notice now an opening of a cave and a hillside just off to the side. And this cave beckons you. You're curious. So move toward the cave's entrance. And as you stand in the entrance to this cave and take a step in, you are bathed in the most exquisite, gentle light and a sense of warmth that feels like a soft blanket wrapped around you. Take a few more steps inside and let yourself be immersed in this warmth and this light. This is clearly a sacred space. It feels like a place of worship and a place of rest, sort of like a womb or a chrysalis. Notice how you feel being here. And as you walk deeper into the cave, you now see that there is an older figure kneeling silently before an altar, praying. Although you cannot see the face, you sense this is a person of great holiness. And notice that you feel compelled to talk to this extraordinarily wise person. And imagine that you can have a conversation and receive advice to support you in your transition that you've called to mind. What would you say? And what would the wise person tell you in return? I will allow a few moments now for this dialogue between you. And if there is no dialogue, that's okay too. Remember that you can't do imagery wrong. Perhaps it is enough to simply be in the presence of this wise being. Absorb the energy from this person. See if you can feel the wisdom radiating. Notice if there is a message being communicated in silence. When this encounter feels complete, take a moment to say goodbye in any way that feels right for you. Know that you can come back to this place and speak with this wise person whenever you like. Walk back through the length of the cave and exit, finding yourself back on the original path in nature. And when you're ready, bring your attention gently back to this room by feeling the chair that supports you. Perhaps gently wiggling your fingers and toes, listening for the sounds that are present in this room. And then when you're ready, gently open your eyes. And if you like, feel free to turn your video back on. I hope you enjoyed that imaginary journey. And after the service today, you may want to take some time to write about your experience. And you may want to consider the following questions. How did it feel to be in the cave? How did you feel about what the wise person shared? Whether that sharing was spoken or nonverbal. And what next steps might you consider taking? I encourage you to take some time later to reflect.
Now I would like to share a quote from Jeanette LeBlanc. Feel the air brushing past your body. Trust and trust and trust. Speak your bone truth. Discover the root of your endless compassion. Unlearn lessons that have kept your heart on lockdown. Embrace what you need. Discard what does not serve. Bless your tender kneecaps. Bless your holy longing. Bless your wild soul. I'll read that again. Feel the air rushing past your body. Trust and trust and trust. Speak your bone truth. Discover the root of your endless compassion. Unlearn lessons that have kept your heart on lockdown. Embrace what you need. Discard what does not serve. Bless your tender kneecaps. Bless your holy longing. Bless your wild soul. And now Jill will share with us a beautiful piece of music called Alla Sudamanican. Yes, I practiced it.
I will, and you'll have to give me just a moment to cue that up. All right, so as Lori said, as we move toward the close of today's service, we're going to add a little pep with this piece of music, and this will be introduced by the musician. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Morgan Tony, and I'm from Wamacook First Nation. And this is my song about the unknown, Alla Sudamakan. And in the chorus, you hear Niskam Nudai, Alla Sudamakan. And in Mi'kmaq, that translates to, Lord, I need to pray. This song is about acceptance of the unknown. Niskam Nudai, Alla Sudamakan. Niskam Nudai, Alla Sudamakan. Oh, great Spirit, give me strength to face the things unknown. For only you can see what lies ahead of me tomorrow. I will listen in the wind as I walk through the land, 'cause I know your words speak to greater plan. This can do die. Alla Sudamakan.
That was beautiful. What a great way to close out our service. But we're not closing yet. I have a few remarks to make as well. Early in my spiritual journey, I sought for certainty. I thought a relationship with God guaranteed that life would be nice, neat, and tidy if I only did the right things. Now I'm learning to be content living with mystery instead of certainty. Nevertheless, it does help to have a way forward, and I wanted to leave us with some practical things to do while we wait. Reverend Michael White is the pastor of Church of the Nativity in Timonium, Maryland. Last May, he preached a message series on transitions. What I offer here is taken from my notes on his message about what he calls the in-between time. In liminal space, we are given a pause, a chance to process what's ended and prepare for what's ahead. Father White recommends these 3 steps. Number 1, embrace transition times, even create them when necessary. Step back from daily life and pause for some spiritual refreshment. Schedule longer breaks when necessary. Make a retreat. Number 2, review my life story. How did I get to where I am today? How do I see the presence of the divine in my story? Write it down and tell it. Number 3, envision the future and what I want to be. There's another chapter ahead. Invite your God into this process. The real business of transitions takes place in the liminal time. God does some of God's very best work in us in the in-between times. And now I get to pass the hat. Chaplaincy Institute of Maine cultivates community chaplains for an ever-changing world. If this time has been beneficial for you, would you please consider making a donation to Chime? Go to our website, Chime of Maine, all one word, chimeofmaine.org, and select Donate from the drop-down menu. You can also find information about our 2-year interfaith chaplaincy program and other Chime facts on our website. So, thank you for being with us today. Go in the blessing of your God who knows you and loves you very much. Peace be with you. And we will stay around a few minutes for anyone who wants to hang out and chat.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
And thanks for your presence.